All right, let's talk about maybe the most convoluted and stupid way of gearing that Dragonflight has to offer: rare farming. So as you may see people do on stream, they'll like get up in a group or in a raid and they'll run around the Dragonflight zones and farm rares. And you may look and you're like, okay, they're getting pretty decent gear. Sometimes they're getting 372 gear, sometimes they're getting 378 gear. It just kind of depends. Is this worth doing? Because like you may be a little bit under eye level or whatever, and you may be trying to figure out, oh, okay, so wait, should I be farming these 372s or rares before I go into M0s? That way I can kind of trade more loot. And so the answer is no. And so let's kind of talk about how the rare system functions and like when you should be looking to farm rares, because I think that some people are farming rares and it's a bit too early, or honestly, it's not worth their time farming them in a lot of situations. And let's talk about the situations when you would farm rares and like what it kind of gives you. So first and foremost, I think the most important thing to know about rare farming is that the quality of the drops, like the item level of the drops, scale off your in-bag maximum item level. So around the 370 mark, you start to get like somewhere between 372 to 378 pieces of gear coming from rares. And so at that point, the rares are kind of worth doing in some capacity because you are able to get some gear that's slightly better than M0 gear. It's maybe a little bit better than your like assisting the Accord quest. You know, you may be able to get some upgrades once you start farming rares at that point. But a big deal with the rares, and like one of the big drawbacks of the rares, is that the loot table is like static and set for each individual mob, which means that like you're able to get like plate gear if you're like a leather wearer, or I'll loot a warglaive on my druid, that kind of thing, to where the loot just isn't that good. And to the point where you have to be around the 370 mark for you to actually start to get decent quality loot. It's also like pretty time consuming for you to even be able to get upgrades, and the upgrades you get maybe like fractions of an item level or something like that. In addition to that, this rare farming takes a considerable amount of time. I think that just like a daily swoop takes somewhere in the order of like 2 to 3 hours. My guild and myself, we've been forming up in like a full raid and just doing it for fun, but I don't think that many players should be looking to do this. Now, like the situation that you're looking to do this in is like if you've already completed all of your weekly power gains, definitely the power gains that are assured. In addition to that, if you have like a lot of time and you think that this sounds like something that would be interesting to you, for gear that is going to be easily replaced. So basically how this gear functions is like the gear is only between 372 and 378. I've yet to see anything that's going up in that 385 range like you can get from some of the weekly stuff. But if you're looking for like 372 and 378 gear, it's going to be replaced rather quickly. So the keystone level around like 10 gives you 392 gear. And from testing on the beta, 10s were not overly difficult. I felt like most players could do 10s even at pretty low item levels. And so it seems like one of the situations where you're probably going to be pushing yourself a little bit too hard to farm rares because like it's not necessary. And so I think that in the situation where you've done all of your weekly content that you need to do that can give you guaranteed item level drops, you are a higher item level breakpoint to where it makes sense for you to even be farming these rares for loot. And then in addition to that, you have like a decent amount of spare time on your hands. Yeah, go hog wild, spend some time farming some rares. If you'd rather do like professions or other things, absolutely go for it. I don't think that like farming rares is like that profitable, but you're going to see people farming them on stream, including myself, because I find it fun and I have a decent amount of time. Additionally, if you are looking to do something like this, I would kind of recommend downloading handy notes. That way you can kind of get a good idea of about where these rares are going to be spawning, and then download the add-on rare scanner. That will help you be able to allocate rares and kind of know when you should be stopping, when you should be typing rare in all caps in your group chat to make sure that they also know that they should be looking to get it. And so that's the deal with rare farming. Should you do it in Dragonflight? More often than not, the answer is going to be no, but for some of you, it will make sense. All right, goodbye.